Imagine this, a dog, barely clinging to life, stranded in the middle of nowhere, his body frail, his spirit shattered. Most would have looked the other way. But what if this was your one chance to rewrite the ending to a story that seemed already lost? That's exactly what happened to me, and this is the story of how one desperate rescue turned into something much greater than I could have ever imagined. It was a cold, rainy afternoon when I got the call. "There's a stray near the abandoned factory. It looks bad. No one's been able to get close to him." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. I'd been volunteering at a local animal rescue for years, but nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to face. When I arrived, the scene was worse than I imagined. There he was, huddled against the cracked brick wall of the factory, barely more than skin and bones. His fur was matted with mud and blood. His ribs jutted out sharply, each shallow breath a visible struggle. And his eyes. Those eyes were the kind of thing that haunt you. They weren't just scared. They were pleading, like he'd already given up, but still hoped deep down that someone would prove him wrong. The first hurdle was just getting close. He growled weakly, his body trembling as he tried to back further into the wall. Every step I took felt like navigating a minefield. I crouched low, holding out a piece of chicken I'd brought with me. "Hey, buddy, it's okay," I whispered. My voice shook, not from fear, but from the weight of what I was seeing. He didn't move, not towards me, not away, just those eyes, watching, waiting. After what felt like hours, he finally inched forward, desperate enough to risk trusting me. As he took the food, I noticed a deep wound on his side. It was infected and he was limping. He needed medical attention immediately. Getting him into the car was another battle. His strength was almost gone, but his fear was still overwhelming. I wrapped him in a blanket, murmuring soft reassurances as he trembled against me. Every moment felt like a countdown. To what? I didn't know yet. The drive to the vet was silent, except for the occasional whimper from the back seat. I kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, my heart breaking all over again each time I saw his tiny, frail body curled up in the blanket. At the clinic, the vet's face said it all. "He's in critical condition," she said. "There's no guarantee he'll make it." But giving up wasn't an option. Not for him, not for me. The next 48 hours were the longest of my life. He was put on IV fluids, antibiotics, and pain medication. The infection in his wound was severe, and he was dangerously underweight. Every hour I called the clinic for updates. Every hour I prepared myself for the worst. And then, on the third day, something changed. When I visited him, he lifted his head, just barely, but it was enough to send tears streaming down my face. I sat beside him, my hand resting gently on his tiny body, and for the first time, his tail gave the faintest wag. It was weak, but it was there. He was fighting. Over the next few weeks, the progress was slow but steady. He started eating again, the infection cleared, and those eyes, once filled with despair, began to show a glimmer of hope. He was learning to trust, one cautious step at a time. Today, that frail, broken dog is unrecognizable. His coat is thick and shiny, his body strong. But what stands out the most is his spirit. He runs, he plays, he wags his tail so hard it looks like it might fall off. And those eyes? They're no longer pleading. They're grateful. They're joyful. They're alive. I named him Chance because that's what he taught me, that every soul deserves a second chance, no matter how hopeless it may seem. If Chance's story moved you, imagine how many other animals are out there waiting for their second chance. Hit that subscribe button to join me in sharing more stories like this, and let's make the world a better place, one rescue at a time. And remember, sometimes all it takes to change a life is to take a chance.